So what does a UX designer actually do and how much money do you make? I actually get this question a lot, and even after I explain it, people still don't know what I'm talking about. To be honest, I'm not entirely sure that my parents even know what I do. But no worries, because in this video, we're gonna talk about what a UX designer actually does and what my day-to-day looks like. I will say, because I am a full-time employee and I have contracts and everything like that, I can't disclose things about my company, but I will try and give you guys a good idea of everything that I do. So let's first start by defining what a UX designer is. Google defines a UX designer as someone who is concerned with the entire process of acquiring and integrating a product, including aspects of branding, design, usability, and function. So why is UX design important, and does it actually help the business? Well, 88% of online consumers are actually less likely to return to a website after a bad experience. So imagine any time that you went onto a website that you really wanted to explore more of or learn a little bit more about a product that you wanted to purchase, and you ended up closing out of it because of how annoying it was to navigate it. Well, maybe if a UX designer worked at that company, you would have purchased the item or maybe gotten more information before you decided to close out and drop off. Another question that people tend to ask a lot is UX design expensive? And the answer to that is yes, UX design is most definitely expensive, but just keep in mind that trying to prevent mistakes that could have easily been prevented at the beginning of the process while during development could cost you 10 times as much more, and definitely after you launch it, it can cost up to 100 times as more if you're trying to fix it then. So it's probably best to try and not figure that out in hindsight and to invest the money earlier so that you don't end up on losing more. The next question is one that people tend to ask a lot of times. It is, related to money, of course. How much does a UX designer make? Well, according to Glassdoor, the estimated total pay for a UX designer is $102,000 per year in the United States area, with an average salary of almost $95,000. So with that said, let's give a quick rundown of what a UX designer actually does. There's so many different specialties that you can be within UX. There's a interaction designer, a UI designer, a UX researcher, a UX strategist. You can be a UX writer. There's so much, but for the sake of this video, we're gonna zoom out and only focus on a UX generalist, the UX designer. So what does that UX generalist do? And I'm gonna describe this by painting a picture of a problem that a UX designer can solve. Let's say a stakeholder came to you with a problem and they said to you, Mr. UX designer, we have a page that gets about 5,000 views per day, yet we only get about 100 people that tend to convert. That's like a 0.2% conversion rate. I don't care what you're selling, that is terrible. Anyways, they asked you to look into it and fix it, right? So how do you start that? We'll start that by researching. One of the best ways to start your research is by doing white desk research, which is defined as a method of gathering information and insights from existing data and sources rather than going out and doing it all on your own. While you're doing your desk research, it'd probably also be helpful to gather all your analytics on the page and then analyzing it. After you get everything together, maybe the desk research and the analytics that you gathered helped you come up with a lot of questions that you want to ask your own audience. So now you conduct some interviews. And just like that, after the interviews, you found your problem. Maybe people are struggling to get from the home page to the sales page and converting. The user journey is all messed up, but just because you know the problem doesn't mean that you instantly know the solution. So what do? Next, you have to design and test. What does that look like? Well, you'll create wireframes that are pretty much outlines for what the design should look like. You'll create journey maps and user flows, which are pretty much guides to help define where the user should be going. And you'll work with stakeholders to make sure that everything is fitting their needs. And just to clarify, stakeholders can mean anything depending on what team that you're working on. Stakeholders can be product marketers, they can be software developers, clients, really anyone who has interest or any type of claim within the project that you're working on. Once you've done all your testing and iterations, then you found your solution. All of this work is done in order for you to create your high fidelity prototype, which you'll then send to engineering, and then poof, it comes to life. But that's not all a UX designer does though. A lot of my day-to-day actually consists of consulting. You might be asking, what do I consult on? Many things, but the two very prominent ones are content and information architecture. For anyone asking, information architecture is pretty much how you have the page structured based on the information that you have on it. So what makes a good UX designer? I would say anyone that's really just curious and hungry for knowledge and growth. Also someone with a great psychology mindset. Because it's so heavily related to research and the way that users think and move around pages, I think anyone with a psychology degree or someone who's done user research or any type of research in the past would be great. And lastly, I would just say someone who is creative and loves technology, especially if you like to create stuff in general. So the next question you might be asking yourself, is UX for me? If you're wondering whether or not you should go down the path of UX designers, the first thing I would say is go and talk to other designers first. Go to adplist.org and connect with other designers, or go on LinkedIn as well. Really just try and talk to as many people with different roles in different industries so you can get a feel for what it's really like to work as one. This will really tell you if you're up for it, and keep in mind that it is a time investment. It is not easy to become a UX designer, but trust me, it is worth it. That is pretty much it. If you have any other questions for what I do as a UX designer, please make sure to drop those in the comment down below. Maybe I can make another video about it in the future. Other than that, I really appreciate you guys watching. Please make sure to go and like and subscribe, and I will see you in the next one.